So in this video, I wanted to go over 3 mistakes that I made in the beginning stages of my business, which is windshield repair. I basically repair those little rock chips that everyone gets. But all of these mistakes that I did make kind of relate to other businesses as well. So not just windshield repair. I'm going to kind of emphasize on my business, which is windshield repair. But all of these mistakes are good to know when you're starting any type of business, just so you can hopefully not make the same mistakes I did. So with that said, let's go ahead and jump into the video. So the first mistake I made was I started to repair windshields without the proper knowledge. Now, this can relate to any business when you don't have the actual proper knowledge to do whatever you're doing, because you should be the professional in it, right? You should know what you're doing and make sure that whatever you're doing, especially if it's a service that makes something look better than when you started, you know how to do that and you know the proper techniques. And that's something that I didn't really put too much effort in the beginning, or at least I didn't put enough effort to be charging customers a pretty good amount to actually repair their windshields. So I like to say I didn't really have the proper knowledge, because I would do repairs and I would do jobs that didn't really turn out exactly the way that I wanted them to turn out. So I would go to a job and I would do a repair, and it wasn't necessarily exactly the way that I needed it to come out and what the customer was expecting. Now, this is all because I didn't have the proper training and I didn't really have the proper knowledge of what I was doing. And I didn't really know that I didn't have the proper training in the beginning, right? So I would do repairs and they would come out kind of poorly or not as good as I hoped that they did. And I didn't really know why they were coming out that way. I kind of thought it was just the business or the actual act that I'm doing, the service that I'm providing. I figured that it might just not be that great of a service, right? But essentially it wasn't that. It was more or less I didn't have the proper training to actually do these repairs. I didn't have the proper techniques. I didn't understand the business as well as I thought I did. And I came to realize that if I kept on doing repairs this way, with not doing them the proper way and doing them correctly, it was more or less unsafe to do, because since I am putting pressure on a windshield when I'm repairing a rock chip, when I'm actually working on someone's car, there is a chance that that chip can start to get bigger and kind of crack out the windshield, right? So I wanted to make sure that I was getting the proper training. Once I figured out that there was good training and there was certain techniques that I needed to use to make sure that I was doing proper repairs and I was offering a service that was substantial, right? I'm supposed to be the professional in this business, so I need to make sure that I'm feeding my own brain and my own skill with the proper training and the proper knowledge to actually do these repairs. Now, the second mistake that I made in the beginning of my business was I talked to customers sort of the wrong way, I would say. I guess when everybody starts out in business and they've never ran a business before, they're not really sure how to talk to people. And that's just a beast in and of itself, really. Talking to people is more or less a skill that you have to learn. Some people, don't really like talking to people, and they kind of feel awkward talking to a random stranger. And that's how I felt. I wasn't really used to talking to people, especially people that I didn't really know. I was used to talking to people, but I have to say, the people that I didn't know, or just complete strangers, like my customers, I wasn't used to actually being able to converse with them and try to not make it very awkward. So with this, I didn't really know exactly how to talk to them. It might sound kind of simple and it might sound something so like minuscule, but I didn't really speak to them the way that they would expect a business to talk to them, with respect, with integrity, being able to talk to them in a way to make them want to work with your business, right? So I have to say that this is completely improper, right? It was just I didn't talk to them with enthusiasm. I didn't have a voice that kind of made them want to work with me. I wasn't very friendly, I would say. I kind of was very dull. I was kind of straight to the point. Basically, I made it seem like it was just a transaction. It wasn't intentional. I just didn't have the proper knowledge. Again, I didn't really know what I was doing in the beginning, so I didn't really have the experience that I should have had. Of course, that the only way that you're going to get that experience is with practice, right? But it's always good to set yourself up to that point with the proper knowledge and with the proper training that you need to be able to talk to people. So like I said, I was always kind of straight to the point, and it made it seem like a transaction. So this kind of came off rude to some people. At least me looking back now, I would think of that as sort of rude, and kind of it would probably steer me away from wanting to work with that business, because I've seen it with other businesses. I've seen other business owners talk to their customers in a certain way that just kind of rubs people the wrong way. At least it would for me. And I feel like I did that in the beginning stages of my business. And I wouldn't really know this until I actually went through it. But now that I look back, I see that I shouldn't have talked to them that way. I should do what I'm doing now, which is having more enthusiasm, talking to them a little bit more friendly, trying to help them out even when I couldn't help them out, right? Even when they couldn't use my service, I would always, or I do now, try to actually help them out and make sure that their problem gets solved, or do whatever I can to try to make that happen. So not just with my business or with Windshield Repair, so what I do, but like any other business, you really do have to talk to your customers a certain way, just to come off as respectful and professional, really. You don't want to talk to people in a rude tone, and you don't want them to think of you as, unprofessional or coming off as kind of a jerk. You really want to talk to them as, as friendly as possible, and try to be as nice as you can, even when you can't help out that customer. So the third mistake that I made when I first started my business was I didn't market my business out enough, right? Always in the beginning stages of a business, when you're trying to start something and when you're trying to make money and when you're trying to build up your business, you have to make sure that people know who you are and they know what you do, right? And I feel like in the beginning, I didn't necessarily put my feet to the ground and go out and make sure that people knew what I was doing. I marketed it, yes. I put it out there, yes, but I could have put a lot more effort in the beginning stages to actually get my name out there, show people what I do, and make sure that people wanted to work with me. I noticed that in the beginning, I was only using one platform on social media to kind of market my business. I wasn't really consistent enough with it. I didn't run ads for my business. I didn't stay consistent with posting. I didn't necessarily put my business out there as aggressive as I should have, especially in the beginning stages. Now that I look back, I think that I should have done that, because if I were to do that like I am now, like I'm staying consistent, I'm posting all the time, I'm making sure that people know who I am, they know what I do, they remember me. If I were to do that in the beginning stages, I would have scaled my business a lot quicker, and I would have probably made more money in the beginning, right? So make sure that whatever business you are starting, and whether it's windshield repair or just anything really, make sure that you're on the ground and you're out there, pushing yourself. You're pushing your name, you're pushing what you do. If it's a business that helps people out or you provide a service, make sure that you can help them out, and make sure that you show them that you're there to help and you're there to, provide them a service. Because if you don't do that, people don't know who you are, right? It's actually very simple, but it's something that we tend to look over, and we don't really remember that sometimes. When we start out in business, we're so worried about other things in our business that we don't really remember to push ourselves out there and market ourselves, because essentially that's what's going to make you your money is marketing your business out there. Like with windshield repair, I have to make sure that I'm showing people that I can repair their rock chips, because a lot of people get them. Everybody gets a rock chip on their windshield. There's so many people out there that get them. There's millions of cars on the road, honestly, but thousands of cars on the road in your area, and you have to remember that a lot of these people are going to get a rock chip. So if you can put your face out there and make sure that people know who you are, the next time that problem happens and the problem that you can solve happens, you can make sure that you're first to mind on their mind, and they know who to call and they know who to go to when they have that problem that you can fix. So those are the three main mistakes that I made when I first started out in my business. And I know that if I were to put more effort and time into those mistakes that I made, I would probably be a lot further than I am now, or at least a lot quicker. I would get to a point, or I would have more success a lot faster in my business. So hopefully you can get some value out of that. Like I said, whether you're in windshield repair, you're doing any other type of business, make sure that these three things you're focusing on and you're putting your effort towards, because this is gonna catapult you above the competition and ahead of the competition, making sure that you're making good money, and you're trying to get as much success as you possibly can. So I hope those help. Put those into effect. Make sure you don't make the same mistakes that I made when I first started my business, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. Peace.